There was a time when the family car couldn't afford to be boring. A time when a vehicle built to haul kids, luggage, and the messy magic of everyday life still had to look like something: success, taste, pride, momentum. Today, wagons get filed under practical, useful, functional, sensible, but in 1950s America, they were closer to a moving symbol, growing families, endless highways, and a country that genuinely believed tomorrow would be better than today. So here's the uncomfortable question: what if the most beautiful wagons weren't beautiful by accident, but shaped as deliberate design statements, with the same intent as the coupes and convertibles everyone remembers? This isn't a list of the fastest wagons, or the most efficient, or the most sensible. It's a journey through the wagons that best captured a decade you can recreate machines that didn't just carry families, but carried the dream of motion itself. The Chevrolet Nomad, from 1955 to 1957, is the moment the wagon stops behaving like a household tool and starts acting like an icon. It doesn't read as a traditional wagon at all. It reads like a sporty two-door coupe that decided almost mischievously to make room for luggage and family. The roofline slopes with intention. The proportions stay tight. The silhouette still feels modern because it was designed with restraint instead of bulk. In a world where wagons were expected to prioritize space above everything, the Nomad prioritized something riskier: desire. Every line feels chosen. Every surface looks considered. No awkwardness, no visual apology, just a low, long elegance that looks ready to leave town even while parked. Inside, it gave you real travel comfort without losing that special feeling. This wasn't a wagon for someone surrendering to practicality. It was for someone bringing the family along without giving up style. And underneath that refined image, it could be fitted with serious V8 power for its time, strong enough to surprise anyone who assumed beauty meant softness. The Nomad never needed to shout performance. It was built to dominate visually, and that balance of elegance, restraint, and quiet capability is exactly what made it legendary. It wasn't cheap, it wasn't common, and it wasn't for everyone, so it became the one everyone wanted. Then comes the Pontiac Safari, also from 1955 to 1957, born from a simple realization: the public no longer wanted wagons that were only practical. They wanted wagons with personality. At a glance, the Safari shares that long, low, elegant stance that made the Nomad feel different, but its character shifts. Where the Chevrolet feels like a sleek coupe with extra space, the Pontiac feels more solid, more muscular, more serious. It has presence. Pontiac's brand identity always leaned toward attitude, neither overly conservative nor purely luxurious, and the Safari brings that attitude into family life without softening it. The design stays clean and balanced, with lines that flow naturally and don't rely on extremes to stand out. It doesn't need overdone fins or heavy ornament to be noticed. Its elegance comes from proportion and a restrained strength. Inside, it gives the 1950s family what they actually cared about: space, wide seating, visibility, comfort, while still feeling like something with character. Under the hood, the V8 options fit the image. Engines meant to move a big body with ease, delivering torque and confidence rather than drama. It isn't a sports wagon, but it's not sleepy either. And the Safari's secret is that it never tried to outshine the Nomad. It didn't chase the spotlight. It simply did things its own way: more discreet, more mature, more grounded. For a lot of buyers then, and a lot of enthusiasts now, that's exactly the appeal. The 1957 Oldsmobile Super 88 Fiesta Wagon, to where the list starts to feel like you rediscovering something rather than repeating what you already know. It isn't the wagon that lived on posters. It isn't the one everyone brings up first. And that's precisely why it hits so hard when you finally see it. Oldsmobile took the Super 88, one of its strongest 50s platforms, and turned it into a wagon that pushed away from the family appliance vibe. The result feels lower, longer, and more aggressive than many rivals, like a high-end automobile that happens to be able to carry a family. The design is clean, but not neutral, tight lines, a front end with real identity, and a stance that suggests confidence rather than compromise. Inside, it leans into comfort with that unmistakable Oldsmobile touch, spacious, well-finished, and built for long-distance ease, a wagon for families who didn't want to feel bored behind the wheel. Oldsmobile always understood the sweet spot between comfort and performance, so the V8 power here isn't about extremes, it's about smooth authority, the kind that makes a big car feel effortless. The Fiesta Wagon wasn't produced in huge numbers, which explains why it slipped through the cracks in an era packed with icons. Not because it lacked beauty, but because it was quietly excellent in a very loud decade. And that raises a question worth sitting with. In a classic wagon, do you value universal recognition or elegant rarity? The Mercury Colony Park, spanning 1957 to 1959, is a different kind of beauty altogether, the kind that doesn't need to raise its voice to be respected. It was built for people who wanted more than a Ford, but didn't want the full excess of Cadillac, and that middle position defines everything about it. At first glance, it doesn't chase extravagance. It's long, balanced, restrained smooth lines, and a calm presence that still communicates status. The wood paneling isn't there to grab attention. It's there to reinforce tradition and refinement. This is a wagon for well-off families with good taste, people who don't need spectacle to feel important, but still want comfort, space, and a flawless image. Inside, it delivers exactly what the exterior promises: room, quality, and a relaxed atmosphere designed for long trips that feel unhurried. It's not sporty excitement, it's effortless living. The V8 power matches that philosophy to smooth, quiet, authoritative when needed, focus less on flashy numbers and more on steady, confident delivery built for endless highways. The Colony Park wasn't designed to be remembered as radical, it was designed to be lived with, and maybe that's why it carries such a specific kind of nostalgia now. It doesn't shout beauty, it whispers it. To understand just how far wagon luxury could go in the early part of the decade, you have to step into the 1950 to 1954 Chrysler Town and Country. This wasn't simply a high-end family car. It was a status statement with room for your life. The proportions are large and commanding, and the wood doesn't feel like decoration, it feels structural, almost architectural, like craftsmanship made visible. Every panel communicates tradition, luxury, and deliberate design. This wagon was never meant for everyone. It was meant for people who wanted the best. At a time when family travel was becoming central to American identity, the Town and Country offered more than space. It offered an experience. Inside, it feels less like a utility vehicle and more like an elegant living room on wheels, wide seats, quality materials, and a sense of refinement that makes distance feel easy. Under the hood, Chrysler's big, smooth engines weren't tuned for urgency, they were tuned for calm control, moving an imposing body forward with confident steadiness. The essence of the Town and Country is simple. It didn't try to be modern, and it didn't try to be bold. It tried to be the best stand for early 50s family luxury. It succeeded. Then the decade swings hard in the other direction with the 1957 to 1959 Dodge Sierra station wagon, a wagon that represents late 50s Detroit at its most fearless. This is the era of jets, rockets, the space race, and a cultural belief that more was always better. The Sierra doesn't try to be discreet or restrained, it tries to be seen. Pronounced fins, abundant chrome, and a silhouette that looks like it's moving even when standing still, family functionality wrapped in theatrical design. For some, it was too much. For others, it was irresistible. And that's the point. Personality is immediate. There's no doubt this car belongs to the end of the decade. Inside, the contrast is almost charming despite the dramatic exterior. It fully commits to the family mission: generous space, comfort for long trips, a feeling of openness that matches the exterior scale. Under the hood, Dodge V8 South provides solid, confident motion, less about racing, more about authority at highway speed. The Sierra wasn't designed to please everyone, it was designed to stand out. And today, in a world where many modern cars blur together, that boldness feels even more valuable. Finally, the 1958 to 1959 Ford Country Squire, the wagon that practically lives in America's collective memory. This isn't just a car. It's a repeating image in millions of households, a symbol of family life, road trips, and the everyday rhythm of the 1950s. When people picture a classic wood-paneled wagon, they're almost always picturing the Country Squire, whether they realize it or not. Visually, it's big, solid, and proud. The wood isn't subtle, and it isn't meant to be. It's a statement of purpose. Carry the family, carry the luggage, carry the memories, and do it with dignity. The front end conveys confidence. The proportions feel safe and robust, and the elegance here in European sophistication, it's honest, functional, deeply American pride. Inside, it's built to be lived in, spacious, comfortable, practical, ready for family vacations, school runs, weekend escapes. Under the hood, Ford's V8 South deliver reliability and ease rather than flashy numbers, solid, predictable, long-lasting. And that's why the Country Squire is special. It didn't try to be rare. It became iconic because it was everywhere. Familiarity turned into nostalgia. Seeing one now feels like a memory you didn't personally live but somehow still recognize. Now I want your opinion. If you could choose just one of these wagons to have in your garage today, which would it be and why? Would you take the sporty elegance of the Nomad, the solid presence of the Safari, the quiet class of the Colony Park, the prestige of the Town and Country, the late 50s boldness of the Sierra, or pure cultural nostalgia of the Country Squire? Leave your pick and your reason, because every choice reveals a different idea of beauty and a different way of loving automotive history.